Well, a rude awakening for me was, and I probably shouldn't share this,
From body stuff to babies.
and I was like so angry.
Confidence to career moves.
It's real talk about lessons learned the hard way.
And I just wish that people had given me good advice that I could use.
So maybe you don't have to.
I was like, oh my God, they obviously know that I'm not worth it.
This is Things I Wish I Knew with Abby Coleman. So today, I want to get into whether it's right to question whether you want to have kids or not. Because I am 35. A few of my friends have kids already. And for probably the last 10 years, I've been asked, hey, when are you going to have kids? And especially when you've got a long-term partner.
Does it trigger you then? Where you're like, I don't want to be asked? Because obviously I don't ask people because I think it's really rude. And I've always wondered that with you, whether you do want kids, but I feel like it's really inappropriate because of my fertility issues, I will never ask anyone. Because I don't want to start a conversation that they're not ready for, so I'll wait for them.
Yeah, to bring it up.
Yeah, but I just think, when sometimes you're not sure and then sometimes you're scared, well, I do and I won't like it or whatever. So people asking that question can be a huge trigger for you.
I don't know where it started from, but basically ever since I've had my period, I've always had issues with it being heavy and painful and all that sort of stuff. And then I just had something in my mind where I was like, oh, maybe I can't have kids. And that was probably when I was 16 or 17 or something. And I just sort of always like to prepare myself for the worst.
You so do in every situation.
Yeah.
But then you're really just thinking about the worst the whole time.
Anyway, I just have always sort of had in the back of my mind, don't get hopeful about that because maybe that's something that isn't physically possible.
Yeah.
So I've just been like, I'm content with me and my life and blah, blah, blah. And then when you get a boyfriend or a partner...
Yeah, the questions really come.
They're thinking, oh, maybe when we have kids, things just come out in natural conversation.
Have you guys talked about it? Having kids, or do you just put it in the... La, 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 la.
Yeah, we've talked about it.
It's weird, isn't it, when you're with your partner and you should be able to talk about everything. But.
Yeah, so I've been with Dan now for 10 years, and before that I was with my partner for 6 years. So 2 long-term relationships where kids could have happened.
So you always just presume, I guess, growing up that you kind of go, you get married or whatever it is and you have kids, and then my hubby and I guess before I met him, I was like, I don't think I'll ever settle down.
Oh, really?
I was like, nah.
That's surprising to me.
Yeah, I didn't like hanging out with people. I always wanted to get away and I just didn't feel like I was myself with everyone. So I guess that's so taxing that you always want to be by yourself or have alone time. And then when I met him, I just was so calm and could see myself hanging out with him and never wanted to get away. Yeah. And in fact, moved into basically his house and didn't leave after the first night. So maybe he didn't have a choice. But yeah, so it was more I could see myself having kids with him.
Yeah.
Where previously I just couldn't even see myself settling down with anyone. But we got married and we went on a honeymoon, and we decided on our honeymoon that we were not going to have kids.
Whoa.
Yeah, we were like, nah.
Had you talked about it previously? Or it hadn't really come
Do you know
up?
what? No. Isn't that silly?
Wow.
And
Before you got married, you'd never discussed whether you'd have kids or not.
We had to go to pre-marriage counselling, which we failed because we got married in a church, because I'm not religious but went to a religious school and I love the buildings and I just think they're so grand. So
I feel the same way.
Yeah, I went to get married in a cathedral and I loved that.
It's fancy.
So beautiful and romantic and just everything about it. And then as part of it, you need to do pre-marriage counselling and you fill out all these questionnaires. So we failed every single topic except sexual compatibility. So yeah. And I guess we didn't really discuss it because the guy was really stressed about our answers and we sort of left going, oh God, he's uptight. But yeah, so we just, I don't know, I always loved kids when other friends brought them over and they're like, oh, careful Scotty, she's clucky. And then we loved the travel and just everything about the honeymoon that we were like, we've got nieces and nephews, that's great for us. And even so much as when I was babysitting my nephew, I didn't like it. It was so constant and there and I just did not want to be around him at all. Love him to bits, but Scott was the one that was having to look after him the whole time. And then, when we were on a honeymoon, I said, no, this is great. I love this lifestyle. Let's not. And he was like, yeah, cool. But before we went away, my friend started working at an IVF clinic and they were doing something called the egg timer test. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
maybe good, because I don't know how accurate it is. I really don't. So they did blood tests, they did scans, and it was kind of like looking at your egg reserves, because you know how you're born with all the eggs that you're ever going to have, and then they do your egg reserves, right? Now, I don't know how accurate it is, and it's something that they probably still do to measure all your hormone levels, but whether it was just new at the time, I don't know. But we did it because a lot of our friends did it, because she's like, hey, I'm in charge of, like, you know, getting new clientele, and, you know, we can do this one for free. And I was like, yeah, cool, no worries. Anyway, I got a call from the clinic when I got back.
From your honeymoon?
Yeah, so I must have missed calls or whatever, just saying, hey, can you come and see us about your results? And I was like, oh, yes, that's right.
That thing I did.
That thing I did. So I went in there and they said that for my age was very, very low, and if I would like to have kids, I really will have to think about it soon. And I was like, no, because I've just decided that I don't want kids.
But now the option's being taken away from you.
It's crazy, isn't it?
That would be really hard.
And I was like, oh, I don't know how I feel about that. And then went home to my new husband and said, hey, I don't know if I can have kids. And he's like, oh, shit. And I was like, did you want to? And he's like, nah, I don't know. And it was a weird sort of thing. And he goes, well, if you can't, why don't we just see how we go? And then the decision is made, and we're already okay with not.
Do you mean see how we go as in just
Let's try, because I was on the pill.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So just go off the pill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then him saying that was sort of brought up. I was like, oh, my God, you just said that you don't want to, but in the back of your mind you actually did.
I think, yeah, you probably don't realise until you're confronted with that possibility of not being able to.
Yes, but you've been living with that possibility and you've never actually even looked into it.
No, and I actually have a doctor's appointment later this week, and I was like, I wonder if I should ask them, like, have I just been worrying about this my whole life and it's not even a worry, or is it actually instinct that maybe there is something, an issue?
Well, I think our generation, not your generation, here it comes into it, we never talked about periods. Like, it was so taboo, and now it's like this ultimate indicator of your health that we just ignored. So, you know, because if you went there, it'd be like, oh, maybe you need to go on the pill if that's heavy, or maybe it is. So you just sort of don't really, like not to discard you as the small one, you probably still feel like
I have endometriosis, and I got put on the pill when I was like 14.
So sucks.
And I was on the pill for a really long time, and I feel like it really messed up
my
hormones. My periods were like so painful, so heavy. So I feel like it's still rampant unless you have the right doctor.
Yeah.
Like you'll just get thrown on the pill.
But then you look at the other side, and I've read so many brilliant books now about, you know, learning to really get to know your period. I'm like, oh my God, we were never even taught about this. It was literally just like maybe day 14 you can get pregnant. And that's the only thing that I really knew about it, rather than even looking into it a bit more. I guess I wish I had looked into it earlier. It ends up, we went off the pill, we got pregnant that month.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So my husband's like, so what about that test again? I was like, I don't know. I think they're still doing an IVF clinic.
It's just a test. Like, they're trying.
Yeah.
Wow.
But
okay.
then I had every single fertility issue you could possibly imagine for the second and third, and the amount of miscarriages I had after that. You know, me going, it's going to be easy. But I just feel like you maybe don't address it, and maybe you should go, because that's one thing that I kind of go, once the possibility of never having kids, it kind of made me go, oh, wait a minute, I want to try and give it my all. Or maybe when you are faced with not having that option, you go, oh, maybe I want to explore it more.
Because I guess you always think, oh, I don't want them right now, but in the future I might change my mind.
Is it an option that you can't have kids? And I think that might be what you're dealing with, as opposed to the fact that you kind of go, some people make a choice. Friends of mine have made choices, they don't want kids.
Yeah.
To the point where they've had vasectomies really young. And they've had it because they're so sick of people going, you'll change your mind. And for them, it was a decision, and it's hard to say that it doesn't change your relationship with them, but I think you have to be honest with yourself, because for them they were like, we love kids but we just don't want them, and we also want to be involved in your life when you have kids.
Yeah. Well, like, the other thing is, like, people say you'll change your mind about them.
Yeah.
I just can't picture myself with child, like, at all. And I've never really seen myself as a motherly sort of figure, like I don't see a baby and think like, oh, it's so
I never
cute.
did either.
And that's why I think like, am I evil? Like,
No, you're not. I never understood why people go, oh my God, it's so selfish to not want kids, or you're so nasty to not want kids.
Yeah.
That's so bullshit. I never understand that, because I think you're actually making a conscious decision of it's not for me. And I think that is like a wonderfully brilliant decision to make if it's suitable for you.
Yeah.
So I've never thought that. But there is those people where it's that awkward conversation, because what about if they couldn't?
Yeah.
Because some of my friends have tried for so many years, and they have gone through the IVF and stuff like that and still not have children. And they're in different stages of acceptance and not acceptance. And that's hard, because they're constantly being asked as well.
Yeah. I think it's good that you leave it and you don't really talk about it with people in a way that's prying and being like, why haven't you? Why haven't you? Because it really pisses me off.
Yeah.
Especially when it's like people I don't know very well. Like I remember it's probably 8 years ago, one of my mum's friends said to me, oh, your body clock's ticking. And her daughter, who I was friends with from a young age, she had already popped out 3 kids by then. She's saying to my mum, oh, my grandbabies, they're so great.
Yeah.
And she's making my mum jealous because she's got no grandkids. And
I think those people are really unaware. And it does come back to our emotional expression, where we're saying, that's actually really upsetting for me to talk about at the moment, or do you mind if we change it? You know, like I think that is a constant thing to say, hey, let's actually not talk about it, or we don't really bring that up these days, you know, and then sort of move on. And I know that you can't say that in every situation. But the sad reality is that there is an age limit of when you can have kids, and I think that is the cruelest thing, because we try to say we can do it all and stuff like that, but at the same time, our fertility is better when we're younger.
Yeah.
So it's a shit thing. It's just a cruel thing, I reckon, because you're not ready to have kids when you're younger in so many situations.
Yes.
But it is hard having that conversation. And, you know, when you have one kid, you kind of go, oh, cool, you know, those questions will stop. And then it's always like, when are you having a second? Or are you done? Or, oh, you got 3 boys. Oh, did you try for a girl? Are you going to try for a girl? Wow. So what I'm saying is those questions don't stop.
People are curious.
You know, and I just don't know if people don't know what to talk about. You know, like you just go, why don't we talk about the weather? But I think when you're haven't dealt with it completely, or you're still going through it, those conversations are so hard to deal with. And that's just why I go, deflect, change it. Because while you're still trying to work out whether you want them, or
it's just easier to do without everyone else's opinion, I think.
That's
don't want
everything
to feel,
in life, isn't it?
Yeah, but you just don't want to make the decision because someone is desperate for a grandkid.
Yeah.
You know?
Do you feel like you would be lacking if you look into your future and you guys didn't have kids?
I honestly, I don't think so.
For me, I think your life can be fulfilled in so many different ways.
Yeah.
I never ever for a moment regret having children. Like, they're my love. Like, honestly, they're the absolute love of my life.
Yeah.
And I love everything about being a mum, but I also remember the person I was on holidays and how I could have been completely and utterly happy with other changes.
Yeah. I've got aunties and stuff who don't have kids
or
whatever. And it's always like, oh, she doesn't have kids, so she's got the dogs.
You know? And you don't want it to be like that.
It's like you're a sad cat lady or
barren
something.
is what they used to be called, which I think...
Barren?
Oh, barren is what they used to be called. My nana had a hysterectomy. Her friend had a hysterectomy at the age of 29.
Why? For health reasons?
Yeah, because they couldn't stop the bleeding, didn't look into anything else, and were like, well, she's past her years to have children because everyone was
at
having...
29?
Yeah, because my nana had a child when she was 18. Like, that's what... everyone had children by that stage, you know? So it was like, oh.
It's different now that people aren't having kids as young, I think.
But it is crazy you say that, like, it's so noteworthy when a woman doesn't have kids, apparently. Like, oh, this is so-and-so, she doesn't have kids.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why are we bringing that up?
There's so much other interesting aspects about you as opposed to... But it does become an identity for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And it becomes their complete whole self, so they don't feel like they can relate to other people that don't. So if I'm honest, when I'm with my friends who don't have children, I won't talk about my children.
Because there's no common ground, really.
Unless they bring it up. I don't know really what's
Yeah.
the point. Because if I was going to catch up with someone who doesn't have a dog and the only thing I talk about is my dog, are you not going to go to a certain point where going, shit, I don't know what else I can talk about Fluffy with? Do you know?
Yeah.
So why would I, if that makes any sense, there's so many other aspects I think that you can do. And I am aware that when we catch up with a couple that made a choice that they didn't want children.
Yeah.
I always feel a bit weird always bringing the kids, and they're okay with it and they want to be included, but at the same time I'm like, do you really want to come to a birthday party at 8:30 on a Sunday morning when you have the options of doing whatever you want?
Yeah.
But I'll still invite them, but I don't always feel like I would like to catch up with them when we have a babysitter and it's just us.
What about, I said earlier, like a lot of my friends around my same age have had babies and are starting to, and there's an element of me that feels a little left out when they're all sort of talking about being pregnant and their experiences with that, and I just have absolutely no knowledge of that world, and I feel like it definitely brings you closer together if you are friends with a pregnant person going through that at the same time.
100%, and that's why a lot of friends have babies at the same time.
Yeah, because people even plan to try and have kids at the same time as each other.
Yeah, but I did know that when I was having problems like with children, I actually didn't want to be around anyone that was pregnant.
Yeah.
Or, we're talking about it, so I would make a conscious effort to change the subject. But I tell you what, a group of mums who have just had kids, no one can read the room when you try to change the subject and don't want to talk about it. Do you know, like they really,
That's the whole world.
And I often find, where they're sharing photos, with each other. And as I said, I love my kids, but I'm like, do you not have grandparents that you can send it to? Or do you not have someone else that you can send it to?
Yeah.
You should go to the doctors, though, just so you can explore all options rather than putting it.
So what do I say? I just tell them like...
Oh, please tell us what we say, Abby, because I'm sitting here like, maybe I should say something, but like, what do I say?
What, to a doctor?
What do
I say?
Am I saying, are my eggs looking good? What do I say?
That's a good point. That's a good point. Well, if you just say, hey, it depends without me asking too many questions whether you've been trying or maybe you've been trying but not actively trying, because they're two different things. There is one buying the ovulation kits and tracking everything, and there is the other thing of trying to go, we're just not using protection, see how it goes.
Ovulation kit, ?
You know what, oh my God. Yeah, no, good point. You shouldn't know what ovulation kit is.
Am I the only one that doesn't know?
Well, is it that... So I've got an app on my phone.
Yes.
And it tells me the Flow app. And it tells you like, when you're ovulating, it's like, this would be a good time to make a baby right now.
Yes, or you
like
can also pee on a stick to know when you're exactly ovulating. So
I'd rather
you get like a high and then you can... There's a high thing and then 24 hours generally after is when you would ovulate, which is the time that you're supposed to.
And it's like a 4 or 5 day window of when your like highest chances of getting pregnant.
Yeah, but that does depend. And they do say that if you are like actively trying, then you shouldn't, and it depends on your age, but 6 months of maybe actively trying and you haven't got anywhere, then you should go and see a GP and say, hey, we'd just like a check because we would like to test where we're at. And that just... I think often it's the female where you're like, well, maybe he should do a sperm count test, So
if I said that to the doctor, she would ask me those questions and then how will she tell if my eggs are cool?
Well,
she have to go in there because I don't like that.
No. Well, it depends how serious you want to do it.
Yeah,
like
right.
in the sense
Different
where
levels.
do you want to go and just, because I'm like, I always will ask for any sort of medical where I'm like, okay, cool, let's have a look at my levels, which means, a blood test. Let's do a full blood count. So I'm doing my iron and all the different hormones tests and stuff like that to say, look, I'm at this age. I don't know if we want kids. I don't know. We haven't actively been trying, but we also haven't fallen pregnant. So I'd like to do a check for partner and I.
Yeah.
To be able to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that would be really nice peace of mind. And
then I just feel like you've got all those options.
Yeah.
And you can't be scared asking doctors questions. You're paying them. And it's a hard thing to do because I've always sat there just going, oh, my God, I should have asked this, but I didn't really know how to ask it. And you feel like just such a little girl I always have. But then I realise, I'm like, holy shit, like I'm paying them. Do you know what I mean? And that's one thing I always wish I learned earlier is no one cares about your body as much as you do.
Yeah.
So you can't always presume that, yes, of course, they're in the medical world, they're looking after you, but they're also got so many different clients and everyone's an individual.
Yes.
So go and just get a medical just to be able to check up on everything.
Yeah, I will.
You reckon she will?
I will.
We'll call her out.
Nah, I'm booked in to go on Friday, so I'll throw in the question and I'll
Does Dan want kids?
Yeah, he does, and he's like really good with them whenever we see our friends' kids and stuff, which like is like I feel like I should be like that too.
I don't think you have to be that, but it's sounding like you have more of a fear of not being able to.
Yeah, maybe that's it. I've psyched myself out, sort of thing. But he really wants them. And we've had that discussion before. It's like, oh, if I said that I didn't want them and you really want them, so it's like either I give in or we break up.
Really?
Well, yeah, I guess that would how it would work. I don't know. But it doesn't come up all the time. It's not like it's kind of just in the back of the mind. So, yeah. And, like, I don't want to deny him of being a father if that's what he really, really wants.
Yeah. But if that's the case, then you kind of got to look at all the options for it.
I know.
And we have the amazing world that is IVF, but
yeah,
it's also not 100%, you know, and I think we sort of put that as, you know, the magical bullet these days of that's going to fix everything.
Yeah.
And you hear about the success stories, and I can tell you not all of them are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did I just doom and gloom that situation so bad?
I don't think so. I think it's like a bit of honesty is needed.
I think you have to put your health first and actually be honest with yourself.
Yeah.
You would be a good mum if you choose to be.
Oh, thank you.
I find you like quite maternal.
I call you mum, so yeah.
I know, but like,
I guess it's a different. We're adults.
Yeah, I don't know. I like, yeah.
The fear of not feeling like you are going to be maternal would disappear as soon as you saw a baby. I can't. You with your dog?
Yes, that's true.
Like, it's just, I mean, I felt really, I guess at first I found it really hard to bond, which no one ever talks about. But I just felt this overwhelming need to protect my baby straight away. And I didn't, I didn't think, but I was really worried when I was pregnant. I'm like, oh my gosh, what about if I don't like him?
Like it? Anyway, I will find out.
You do have to. Do you want us all to come to the doctor with you? And I'll be like, I'm so sorry, I just want to ask these questions.
Yeah, I'll tell you how it goes.
Yeah, please do.
I wonder what she will say. She'll be like, oh, okay, so you're this age, right? You're 35. That feels normal to be having this sort of...
Yeah.
Is that normal?
It's 100% normal.
Yeah.
People can go there in their 20s and ask for it.
Yeah.
You know, some people can ask in their 40s. Like, it's just... It's totally normal. You are not going to be the strangest or the most demanding that doctor has ever seen. Hand on my heart, they've seen worse.
Yeah.
So give it all you got.
Okay. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss an episode, and you can weigh in on our socials. See you next time.